Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to Global Travel Stories. If you're new, we've just sort of finished our series on travelling New Zealand. We spent 2 months travelling around the whole of New Zealand in our camper van, the Glorious Benny, which unfortunately we've just sold. We have to let go of
unfortunately.
Poor old Benny. We've got our big adventures coming up, so we'll announce that shortly. But we thought we might do a little bit of a wrap on the series, talk a little bit about some of our favourite places, and also give a little bit of feedback as well for people who are planning to do their own camper van trip around New Zealand. So to begin with, we'll have a little bit of a chat about our favourites. So Miranda, if you could name maybe three places, what would be your favourite?
This is so hard. Favorites.
Favorites, yeah.
Okay, well, one would definitely have to be Tongariro, Northern Circuit.
Yep.
I think that's both of ours.
Yep, that's definitely up there. Yep.
We had beautiful weather for the first day where we decided to do the Northern Circuit crossing, or the Alpine.
Yeah.
I'm mixing up the words.
It's the Alpine. Yeah.
Alpine crossing.
Yep, that's the one. Yeah.
And we did the Northern Circuit, which includes the Alpine crossing.
Yeah. We did Mount Nurahoe on the first day. That was definitely up there on my highlights, if not my favourite thing. It's beautiful out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It was stunning. We had a gorgeous day for it, so that was great. And then we continued on the track for 2 extra days.
That's right, yep. I think it was episode 5 from memory, yeah. So if you're going back, if you're new to this, or if you've only watched bits and pieces, that circuit that we're talking about, I think it was right at the very start, or just a little bit after the start of episode 5 anyway.
Yeah.
What about number 2?
That was a lot of fun. Probably Abel Tasman.
Abel Tasman, okay. Which part of Abel Tasman in particular?
I don't think I have a particular favorite part. I think the overall journey was really cool. We had great weather for it. Yep. We were sea kayaking. It was my first multi-day sea kayaking journey, which was really interesting. I really loved the campsites and the beaches, and it was just gorgeous.
That's right, yeah.
So pretty much we would just spend a few hours kayaking and then have the whole rest of the day to relax on the beach and stuff like that, so that was really cool. And even when we did get to the hiking section, the beaches were absolutely stunning. So
and Abel Tasman's considered a great walk of New Zealand, and even though we spent half the time, or a little over half the time, actually kayaking, the route itself is considered what's known as a great walk. So that and the Tongariro Northern Circuit were the 2 great walks that we'd undertaken on that trip. And we just finished another one. We're in May now, by the way, so it was a long time ago. We actually got back in December, so we've been slowly catching up with the series and also just going back to normal life and whatnot. But we've just completed another great walk, which will feature probably in a couple of months' time. We'll have that up on the channel, and that was the Root Burn track, as well as the Caples track that we did connecting onto that. But anyway, we'll get back to our New Zealand camper van trip. So what about number 3? What was your number 3 on the trip? Experience.
I would say the Kaikoura dolphin swim. That was a highlight for me. Yep.
That was, if you didn't see it, it was like a surprise birthday present for Miranda. Oh, Christmas present. Not birthday. Birthday's coming up. Surprise Christmas present. So just sort of sprung it on her for the day, and it was amazing. What was the size of the pod?
They said it was anywhere from 300 to 400 dolphins in the pod that we saw.
That's more than that. I thought it was thousands.
No, she said 300 to 400.
Just felt like thousands.
But honestly, she was just eyeballing it. Yeah. But there were everywhere, absolutely everywhere in the water. So
it was pretty amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah.
I could probly relate to all of those. I feel like those were definitely some of my highlights. You know, there are a lot of things that I think, you know, I would love to go back and rediscover. So what about you? Is there anything that you would love to go back and redo, or maybe if we did do another trip, do something differently?
Ooh,
anything we missed, maybe?
We did miss that huge kauri tree.
Oh, yeah. Tane Mahuta, yeah. We missed that. That was up in the Northland area, so I think that was like episodes... What was it, 3? Episode 3, I think it was.
Yeah, we didn't realise that the tree had closing times. We just thought we could walk out to the tree, but it makes sense. Like, to go in there, you have to completely disinfect your boots and everything like that. There's people making sure that you're doing that because of what's called a coyote dieback disease. These coyote trees are dying due to this disease, and it's brought in through your shoes and everything like that. So that's why it has to be under surveillance when people visit the tree.
Anyone who missed that episode as well, what's important about the tree is it's actually the largest tree in New Zealand, and they say it's like several hundred years old, this kauri tree, and it's kind of sacred to the Māori people as well. So it is a significant site that we accidentally missed out on. There were a couple of things we missed as well, like well, there were a couple in Rotorua because we're in, with borders closed at the moment and tourism is so low at the moment. A lot of these smaller business operators or even some of the larger ones in some of the areas have closed down temporarily or in hibernation. And we did miss out on a couple of significant things in Rotorua. One of them was the Tamaki Māori village. Miranda's never had a hangi before, which is a traditional Māori meal that's cooked under the ground with firestones and coals. I've done it myself years and years ago, and I was really excited to take Miranda there, and that was closed. And what was the other thing that you wanted to do?
Waiotapu.
Yeah, the thermal springs.
Geothermal park. It's one of the highest rated in Rotorua, but unfortunately it was under maintenance. It was quiet for them anyway, so I guess it was timely to have maintenance done, but unfortunately we had to miss that. But yeah, I just thought of something else that I like to go back to.
And what was that?
Taranaki.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because it was in the clouds most of the time. We went to do the Pukai circuit, which pretty much goes around,
because there's like a circuit, like on the edge of Mount Taranaki, which is a volcano, active volcano.
And it's a gorgeous volcano.
Yeah. We saw it on our drive up, nice and clearly, and then the day where we went to the reflective tarns, which is sort of like the highlight, the Instagrammable photos and whatnot, that was all in cloud and we couldn't get all those beautiful reflections, those reflective shots. And we did kind of see it open up the following day a little bit, but there is a way of going into those spots specifically and just do it as like a day or a half-day hike rather than the 2-day hike. So we did it again. We could do it like that.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that's popular up there too in the summertime is climbing Mount Taranaki as well. So that's something else we could look into. Can be quite dangerous certain times of the year. There have been some fatalities recently up there, and that's because people are climbing up in the winter and there's snow and whatnot, or close to winter anyway. So we'd definitely have to time something like that for the summer. Anything else off the top of your head that you'd like to revisit?
Just as in general, I would like to revisit Nelson Lakes area.
Yeah, Nelson Lakes we missed
Springs.
out.
We kind of rushed through that due to the flat tire issue, and we were towards the end of our trip. I had to get back to work, so we kind of had to just take a few days out. And those are the days we sort of skipped out on in that area.
That's rough.
Yeah.
There were a few things we skipped out, and there were a lot of things that we didn't cover that you would normally, if you're a first time travelling around New Zealand, you'd have to see. We've done so many other things on other trips that we decided not to put them into this trip, but definitely there's a whole bunch of highlights. And Mount Cook, Aoraki, we've got a lot of videos on that as well, and I'll try to put up some links. That's definitely something that I'd recommend doing that we didn't do on this series in particular, but we definitely have done before, several times. The Fiordland National Park, which is a wonder of New Zealand. It is absolutely stunning. A whole area of the country that is covered in fjords, and we've been several times to different places. I've got some videos there on Milford Sound, which is like the biggest attraction of New Zealand. And recently we also went to Doubtful Sound as well. So that will be featured on a video coming up, within the next couple of months. I'm hoping to get all the rest of our videos from the summer and from the autumn up onto the channel as well. So there's plenty of big adventures coming up from New Zealand that weren't included in the series. Other bits and pieces we've done on other trips as well. Like we visited Hobbiton, when was that? Was that last year? The year before last?
Yeah, and Taupo, and a bunch of the geothermal areas around Taupo. So we've actually been all over New Zealand, not even just in our 2-month campervan road trip. So if there's
the Otago Peninsula and the Catlins as well, which we did last year with my parents. The year before last, I keep getting mixed up now. COVID's just driving everything crazy. So there's plenty of stuff that we have done, and there's plenty of things that we will do that we haven't featured in this series. So if you have a bit of a browse around the channel, I'm going to play around with the playlist a little bit and make it maybe a little bit easier to navigate. Hopefully you find something there. Yeah, so we've got two other series, or at least two other series, or two other episodes, I should say, that are going to come out from the last couple of months. They'll be separate to the Campervan series. We'll definitely do one on the summer in the Queenstown area. We did some fantastic adventures in the summer, a lot of kayaking and stuff. We also did a couple of multi-day tracks. We did one, the Mount Macintosh Loop, so I might feature that as a separate video. That was pretty interesting. Learn a bit of the history about the scheelite mining and stuff like that. One on autumn, which we're still currently in, so hopefully you get that one sorted out. And also our multi-day trip, the one that we just mentioned before, which is the Capels and the Rootburn. That was a 5-day journey. It's like 80-something kilometers. It was kind of crazy. And we did that in torrential weather, so you're going to see the best and worst of what Fiordland National Park and that region has. And then the next big thing we're going to announce, we should announce it now. What are we doing next? Our next big adventure.
So, I'm so excited. In about a month's time, we'll be flying over to Australia and embarking on a road trip for 5 months around the country.
Yeah.
So this will be my hugest trip yet. I know it hasn't been yours, but it'll be my biggest trip yet. I'm so excited. And yeah, we've just got so much planned.
A lot of stuff planned.
We spent months and months planning. Once the New Zealand Australia travel bubble opened, we were like, okay,
let's do it.
This is happening.
Yeah, so 1st of July we head over to Australia. My dad has been kind enough to lend us his ute, which is like a pickup truck in North America. But yeah, we'll be taking that around for 5 months around the whole country. You know, the thing is a continent in itself. It's as big as, you know, the mainland portion of the USA. This is massive, and we're going to do as much of it as possible in 5 months. Kind of similar style to what we were doing here in New Zealand, you know, exploring new things every day, a lot of outdoor and cultural activities. Yeah, slightly different way though, you know, in the back of the ute or on the roof we're going to have the tent as well, so we're going to have a rooftop tent. It's going to be a bit more raw sort of camping as opposed to sort of free camping in car parks. We're going to be in the middle of nowhere a lot of the time, setting up campfires in the desert and stuff like that. Should be cool. It's all part of the adventure. So yeah, we'll be exploring something completely different. Even though I'm from Australia, I've done bits and pieces all over the place. We did Tasmania last year, so you know we're not going to incorporate Tasmania this time, but we're going to do as much of some of the other places that we haven't seen.
We'll visit all of the states besides Tasmania this time.
Exactly.
But if you would like to see Tasmania, that video is already up.
It is already up, yeah. So we'll leave you with that. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching the playlist, or watching the series, I should say, which will be featured in the playlist. But yeah, the next big thing, obviously, will be our huge Australia trip. So we're looking forward to bringing that to you.
Before you go, remember to subscribe to Global Travel Stories and hit the bell-shaped notification button to stay up to date with our global adventures.